Hey, welcome everyone. It is 9 o'clock on April 21st. And we have all committee members present and myself and Melina present as well. So,
Jim, you look like you're in a very dark room.
It's really bright.
Yeah.
It's super bright.
It's like you're getting interrogated.
Maybe I can go this way. How's that? A little bit better.
Oh, there you go. That's funny.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining us this morning. We do have a shorter packet. We were trying to get the actuals done by now, but we're also completing the audit at the same time. So our accountants are a little overwhelmed at this point, but we're very close to finishing our audit and we will make our deadline by June. Hopefully we'll be done by the end of this month. I don't think Melina and I can handle it anymore.
Surely will be done by the end of this month.
Good job, guys.
Which will be probably the earliest we've done our audit, which is exciting, but also we realize why we do it in the middle of the summer too, because we have so much else going on during this time. So I'll just open it up to, let's see, any questions on our sales tax, and I can share my screen. Because I did share a couple of graphs in that packet. So you all can see this. So let's see. Can you see that, Jim? There we go. Now we can see it.
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Any questions or comments on our sales tax to date, our trends?
One quick question on just the typical sales tax report. So I noticed like it seems to happen in kind of consistent time periods on like, we have a $90,000 month and we have a $100,000 month and then the next month is less. Those are related to like kind of larger payments from a local business at a certain time
Correct.
usually? Okay.
Yeah, some of them pay quarterly.
Yeah.
As well, and so we'll see a big bump and it's normally in the beginning of the year too, you'll see kind of this bigger bump.
Yeah.
In 2022, 2023, not as much, but it happened again in 2024. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see
Okay.
those bigger bumps happen.
Yeah.
And then just did a breakdown, we are year to date. We're over last year and the year before. So that was interesting, but you'll see, in February this year, and I'll go back up to this one. We were down from last year, so
Mhm.
that's not really a surprise.
It's kind of, as Keith would say, it's noisy. Like
Mhm.
there's all these things that hit at different points. Yeah. And the interesting thing about that is that it isn't adjusted for inflation. And so that would be interesting too. Again, I'm not requesting that specifically, but just thinking about how that compares to inflation over time, because that definitely, we all experience that and see it. Yeah.
I know February is a shorter month, but it's also ski touring, so it's not great that it was that much lower than the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, Jim, you were heavily involved. I mean, I think we had a challenge getting people here. We're so weather dependent. And one
Well-
good weekend for Silverton Mountain or bad weekend for ski touring really affects the number of people in our community.
It did. Up until 3 or 4 days prior to the event, we had 96 teams pre-registered. And then with the road closures and the storm, we ended up with 74.
Yeah.
Which was much, much less than last year.
Yep. It feels to me, and maybe this will come up in the Silverton Business Summit, but like, oh man, resiliency is the name of the game. And it's like, how do we help our businesses be resilient? Because again, we're weather events, things outside of our control
Right.
so often affect the bottom line for our local businesses. And that gets really tricky.
Got to keep Mother Nature happy.
Yeah, good luck. Do your dances. Rain dance, snow dance, water dance, no fire dance, whatever it is.
All right.
Lori, did anything stand up to you when you looked at some of these graphs?
No, I was surprised that we were over last year and the year before as far as year to date when I looked at the graph, but other than that, nothing stood out. I'm just nervous and anticipating what this summer is going to bring, hearing that some of our businesses are down in their bookings. So
Mhm.
have to kind of anticipate that.
Yeah, I am worried because I just think with a bit of uncertainty out there, people change their discretionary spending and what they're gonna do for vacationing. And so that makes me nervous for this summer.
Yeah, yeah. But it could be people are staying local, and so maybe we'll get more, it's so hard to
Right.
forecast.
It's
Really
so
hard
hard
to
to
forecast.
predict. Good point, Tyler. It's hard to predict. Like someone's not booking the plane ticket and maybe they're coming camping in the woods. Yep.
Right.
Yep, it's true.
I mean, we saw a lot of that for COVID, so
Yeah,
and they didn't travel as far.
yeah,
Personally, just looking at flat numbers from last year.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that's better than a big decline. Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right. And so the next item is a request for a compensation study. So in the spring of 2022, the board adopted a new employee handbook. At that time, I basically conducted a compensation study using CML's data and comparing comparable positions basically and their salary ranges. What we didn't do during that time was come up with an actual salary range for each position based on the job description and also a formal way to facilitate raises and what that looks like. So while I've been through a couple of seasons under the employee handbook, it hasn't been fully clear on how I can implement that portion of it. So wanted to request a compensation study. This also would help maybe guide the implementation of the 36-hour work week. When we implemented it, it's only meant for the hourly employees at this time, where they can work less hours, get paid less, but then also keep their benefits. But that doesn't apply to salaried workers because we would have to look at adjusting their compensation to account for that on either end. So
Which funny enough, actually salary ranges and how we go about raises in general is actually a question that came up in our audit. It's something that our auditors wanted to know how we do. And it was a question that I didn't really have an answer for because we don't really have salary ranges and we don't really have a structure for it at all. So
Mhm,
something that we probably should have an answer for. So.
mhm.
So I did engage with this HR professional from Durango that was requested or that was recommended by Heather at Region 9. And her proposal is attached to the memo. It's $4,000. Last time I checked on this 2 years ago, it was $5,000. So it wasn't with this woman, it was with an HR national company.
Mhm.
So this is a little bit more local, hopefully a little bit more hands-on. And just wanted to kind of get your all's thoughts on this and if it's something I should be taking to the board. It is $4,000. It's under a $5,000 limit, but I also feel like if I just keep spending $5,000, then at some point I do need to come to the board and ask for your permission. And this is an unbudgeted item that would probably push us over our budget.
I mean, I think it's important to have it clear. Having clear structures for employees so they know, at what point they might be able to expect more money or what they need to do if they're going to make more. And then just, again, for your audit, making sure it's clear for everybody. And then it's more transparent for the public as well. And I think I think it's a good idea. I was also actually a little bit surprised about the price. I thought it would be double that, but so
Well, that's helpful to hear your perspective, Tyler. I appreciate that. Cause I was like, wow, we're not a very big staff and department. Like, why does it cost this much money? Can't we do it quicker and
Yeah.
faster and cheaper?
Because consulting on almost anything is just, yeah, we've looked at having a few different consultants come in and help us with some human resources stuff for the ambulance. And we don't have, we've got 8 full-time and benefited employees. And, some of the quotes we got, not for the same thing, but, yeah, we were looking at 1.5 times that much for, what I thought were small projects, what I thought were small, fast, reasonable projects. And it's just the cost of doing business now.
That's helpful. Thanks. I guess my question to you, Gloria, is, so I think this is something we need. I think we need to have some guidelines and an approach and be pretty specific about it. I think you've done a really great job over your tenure here of just helping to kind of set standards and create operating procedures and make things really transparent and clear. And so this feels really in line with that. I guess my question to you is sort of from your work looking at CML and whatnot, do you think there's possibility that we could kind of workshop this out on our own? Or do you really feel like this is the way to go because it's external and it's kind of like, we can say we did it this way and it adds capacity?
I think, well, first it would add capacity because my goal has been to do this for the
Yeah.
last couple of years and I have not been able to touch it. So it does add that capacity. It also adds that layer of, just not a conflict.
Yeah.
So an outside perspective on these, and maybe it would be a little bit more legitimate than having me do a salary, adjustment or range. So yeah, I think there's a certain perception if we do it ourselves, that it might not be fair. And then if we have an outside person do it, it might look more fair.
Mhm.
Even though I'm
Mhm.
sure we would try and be as fair as possible, but perception there. And then timing, I just have not been able to prioritize this. So that would need to be prioritized at some point in my work schedule, which we can talk about tonight,
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
the retreat. So
Mhm.
thinking that this would really, really help us and help with our auditing as well. And just give those clear guidelines, but I guess I'm asking for it to be prioritized. So either if we do it or if we get a consultant to do it, figuring out how to prioritize
Yeah,
that.
you either need the money or the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need the board to approve the money or reallocate your time.
Mhm.
Helpful, thank you.
And I'm also not an expert at this, like, I kind of a stream level knowledge of everything, and so I don't feel comfortable with my recommendations right away, because I am not an expert at the salary ranges, and to find an expert and actually have that expert opinion would be really valuable.
Thanks. Jim, thoughts?
Well, I'm still stuck on trying to be fair. Gloria is one of the most fair people I know. So, we all know it needs to get done. Helping you with your time, clearing things up so there's no areas that are gray. I think it's a good thing. We got to get it done.
One thing we can do, if we're going to go with this, or if we're not, is creating that compensation philosophy. A lot of companies have them and it really helps guide
Mhm.
the administrator on how they're compensating people. So, after getting those ranges, then we can say, we'll be in the 50th percentile, or we want to be in the 80th percentile to be competitive with other communities. So setting that right off the bat, then we would have more of a comprehensive compensation plan.
Mhm. Yeah, you're not at the mercy of like whichever employee is talking the most or
Right.
asking, or, yeah, it's more, again, fair. Mhm. And again, able to rate based on experience and, yeah, I mean, it seems like this is the way to go. I think it'd be fine to bring to the board. I recognize that we're such a unique community. I know there's other comparable communities out there. But do you feel like she would be able, I think she would be able to, really recognize sort of the type of town we are? She'd base it based off of our revenue, like compared to other budgets and.
Yeah, what I liked about her is that she lives in Durango and she's familiar with Silverton as a small town and would be able to actually come up here,
Yeah.
meet with us, talk with us. The other quote I received in 2022 was a more national company that I was a little nervous that they
Yeah.
even would recognize, you know, our issues.
Yeah.
And making sure that our salaries are sustainable within our budget moving forward.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because we're always gonna face those constraints of what we actually have in operating budget.
Yeah, and there's a couple instances where we're gonna need help with a consultant with stuff like this. Like coming up, we have this water and wastewater project. And I have been going back and forth. Do we do state revolving fund or do we do USDA? Or do we do a combination? Like, what does that look like? I've been reaching out to managers across the state asking for their advice. And pretty much all of their advice is hire a financial consultant to help you through the long-term implications of this. And so it's at some point you have to admit that you're not the expert on it and you do need help.
Yeah, some things have to be outsourced.
So I just wanted to preface that that is something that's coming up as well. Just thinking about prioritizing funds and time. But that would be essential to moving forward with the wastewater project. And so this I see is essential is moving forward with like completing our employee handbook.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of those things coming
Yeah,
up
yeah.
that are essential that we're still cleaning up from years past, and we're also creating those structures and foundations to kind of have clarity moving forward. So.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Recommendation to bring this to the board and have a discussion?
Yeah, I think we should bring it to the board.
Is there any other, do you want me to try and get another quote? I did reach out to like 4 different companies.
I mean,
I don't think it's the quote. I think the quote's fine. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I think what's most important is the recognition that our community is unique. We have a unique income to population ratio, just population in general. We're the county seat. We're the only municipality in the entire county out of 64 that is as small as it is with the median income that we have. And having someone to come in to do those, that study and that survey and to provide real numbers that remove that perception. I like what you said there, Gloria, about removing the perception that if it's done in-house versus a consultant, it's that's what we need to be doing, and we need to focus on that and then have it be fair for everybody. And people feel that.
yeah, I think that's a great point, Jim. And I think getting behind something that feels pretty local, that recognizes our context. I think I'd be more hesitant paying some big national company that's just gonna sit at their desk and Google a bunch of things and spit out a report and be like, well, but do you really get our context of, again?
Right.
our-
If you look at some of the comparable towns without looking at revenue, we're not going to be able to pay what other people pay. So
Yeah.
it needs to be pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. And I think having the conversation, obviously we can talk about this as we move forward, but like recognizing when we have open positions here at Town Hall, we have to kind of compete both within the community, right? Where these jobs are decent jobs for our community year round with benefits, but yet we're also recruiting and trying to get people from outside of our community to bring the skills we need. So we have to kind of walk both things of what makes sense for our community and then recognize that for some of these positions, we're also recruiting outside of here and we have to compete with cities and towns that are different than we are, but have other things to offer. So it's walking that balance.
All right. Well, I will bring this to the trustees for consideration, probably at the next meeting.
Thanks, Gloria.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I have this morning. Do you all have anything?
Just Gloria, one thing for me, I know we have, our next meeting is next, other than tonight's work session, the next meeting is the 28th. Or am I looking? Yeah.
Yep, 28th.
I should have internet, but I'm gonna test it when I get there and I will let you know, text you or email you from my phone. And
Okay.
hopefully I've got some service to zoom in.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Yeah, just text my phone and we'll get you in.
Okay.
Thanks, Tyler.
All right.